The first time Luca Conti heard the scream, he thought it was just another argument through the thin apartment walls. But then a woman's voice cut through the noise, raw and terrified. "Help me." 10 seconds later, the Mafia boss next door kicked her door off its hinges and walked straight into the fight that would change his life forever. Haley didn't remember falling asleep. One moment she was sitting on the edge of the guest bed, still in the same clothes, fingers curled around the blanket like it was the only solid thing in her world. The next, she woke up in the dark, heart racing like someone had shouted her name. She jerked upright, breathing fast. For a second, she didn't know where she was. No broken glass, no shouting, no footsteps coming closer. Just a soft lamp on the nightstand, a clean room, and the quiet hum of the city outside the window. She pressed a hand to her throat. It hurt when she swallowed. Her mind flashed back to Ethan's hands, his fingers digging into her skin, his eyes full of hate. The way the world started to blur, the way her own voice sounded when she screamed, "Help me." She squeezed her eyes shut. Another memory pushed forward. A different pair of hands, strong but steady, pulling Ethan away. A different voice, low and controlled. "You don't put your hands on her." "Luca." She exhaled slowly. The digital clock on the nightstand read 3:17 a.m. Haley swung her legs off the bed. Her socks brushed against the soft rug. She stood carefully, testing her balance. Her body felt heavy, but the panic had faded just enough for her to move. She opened the bedroom door a crack and peeked into the hallway. The penthouse was dim, lit only by a small light in the living room. The city glowed through the large windows like a distant, quiet world that didn't know what had happened to her a few hours earlier. She walked out slowly, hugging her arms around herself. Luca was there. He sat on the couch, leaned forward, elbows on his knees, phone in one hand, a glass of water on the table in front of him. His jacket was off, his white shirt sleeves rolled up, tattoos wrapping around his forearms. He wasn't watching TV or scrolling through anything. He was just awake, waiting. He looked up the second he heard her steps. "You should be resting," he said. "I woke up," Haley answered, voice still rough. "Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you." "You're not bothering me." His tone was simple, flat, certain. She walked closer, but stayed standing near the other side of the coffee table. "Do you ever sleep?" she asked, trying to make a weak joke, her voice soft. "When I can," he replied. "Tonight isn't one of those nights." She nodded. She understood. Her own thoughts wouldn't let her brain shut off. "Do you need something?" he asked. "Water? Food?" She shook her head, then changed it to a small nod. "Water, maybe." He handed her the glass on the table and went to the kitchen to get another for himself. She watched him move. Calm, steady, controlled. Not like someone who had just kicked down a door and beaten a man into the floor. When he came back, she was sitting on the couch, holding the glass with both hands, fingers wrapped around it like it was a lifeline. "Does it still hurt?" he asked, glancing at her throat. "A little," she admitted. "It's better than before." "If you want, I can have a doctor come in the morning," he said. "Someone I trust. No report, no questions, just an exam." Her chest tightened. "I don't want the police involved yet." "They won't be," Luca replied. "Not unless you decide that." "It's your call." No one had said that to her in a long time. "It's your call." With Ethan, there was never a choice. There were only orders, rules, and consequences. "Thank you," she said quietly. He sat on the armchair across from her, resting his forearms on his knees again. He watched her, but not like he was studying a problem. It was more like he was making sure she didn't fall apart. "Haley," he said, "how long has this been going on?" Her fingers tightened around the glass. "I don't know," she answered. "I guess it started small. Comments, jealousy, checking my phone, asking where I was every minute." She swallowed. Then it was shouting, doors slamming, telling me I was useless when something upset him. And tonight, she didn't finish. She didn't need to. Luca didn't push. Did anyone else know? he asked. She shook her head. No. Not a friend? Family? Her lips trembled for a second. My best friend lives in another state. We talk sometimes, but I kept telling her everything was fine. She let out a bitter breath. I was embarrassed. I kept thinking it was my fault, that I had to be more careful, say the right things, avoid starting fights. Luca's expression tightened. It's not your fault, he said. It never was. Haley gave a little shrug, more out of habit than belief. That's not what I heard every day. Then you've been listening to the wrong person, he replied. The room went quiet again. Haley sipped the water, feeling the cool liquid ease the burn in her throat. You live here alone? She asked after a moment. For now, Luca said. She picked up on the small gap in his voice. For now? He looked out toward the city for a second. Work keeps me busy. People don't stay long around that. What do you do? The question slipped out before she could stop it. He looked back at her. It wasn't a simple stare. It was measured, like he was deciding how much to say. I run businesses, he said finally. What kind of businesses? The kind that require loyalty, he answered, and a lot of security. She frowned a little. So, security company? A corner of his mouth lifted for half a second, barely a smile. Something like that. Haley studied him in the low light. His features were sharp, his eyes dark and steady, his hands calm. There was nothing soft about him, but nothing careless either. He seemed like a man who made decisions quickly and never doubted them. You weren't scared, she said suddenly. He tilted his head slightly. Of what? Of him, she replied. Of going in there. He could have had a weapon. He could have attacked you. You just kicked the door down like you do that every day. I don't do it every day, Luca said. Only when I hear a woman scream like that. Her chest tightened again. The way he said woman made her feel like a person, not a possession. What if he calls the police? She asked. What if he tells them you broke in and attacked him? He can try, Luca said. But they'll see the bruises on your neck, and the broken glass on his floor, and the fact that he was the one who laid hands on you first. He can lie, she insisted. Luca's eyes hardened. He can lie. But I'm very good at dealing with liars. There was something in his tone that made her shiver, not from fear, but from the certainty in it. He sounded like a man used to being obeyed. Are you always this calm? She asked. On the outside, he said. Inside is different. Haley hesitated. What did you feel when you heard me scream? He didn't answer right away. Angry, he said finally. Very angry. With him? She asked. With him, Luca confirmed, and with myself for not knocking sooner. Her eyes softened. You still came. That's all that matters. They fell into silence again, but it wasn't as heavy as before. It felt like a pause between two people who had said too much already and were afraid to say more. Haley rubbed her arms slowly. I don't know what to do tomorrow, she admitted. I can't go back there, but all my things are in that apartment. My clothes, my laptop, my work, everything. We'll get your things, Luca said. How? She asked. He'll be there. He'll start again. You won't go alone, Luca replied. You won't be anywhere near him without someone at your side. Someone? She repeated. He gave a small nod. Me, or someone I send. She stared at him. You would do that? I don't say things I don't intend to do, he said. Her throat tightened in a different way now. No one had ever spoken like that for her. Not really, not with that kind of certainty. What if he refuses to let us in? She asked. What if he makes a scene? Then he'll regret it, Luca answered. Haley's heart skipped. Who are you, Luca? She whispered. He held her gaze for a long second. Someone who doesn't look away, he said. That's enough for tonight. She wanted more. She wanted to understand why a man like him lived in a place like this, why he awakened so much fear in her ex without even raising his voice, why he carried himself like the world was constantly testing him. But she was too tired to push. Her phone suddenly lit up on the table between them. The screen showed several missed calls and messages from a contact labeled Olivia. Haley's stomach flipped. She glanced at Luca. "It's my friend." "Answer," he said. "She's probably worried." Haley picked up the phone with shaking hands, hesitating for a second. "What do I tell her?" she asked. "The truth," he replied. "Or as much as you're ready to share." She nodded and answered the call. "Haley?" Olivia's voice came through loud and worried. "Oh my God, I've been calling you for hours." "Are you okay? You didn't answer any of my messages. I had a bad feeling, I swear. I'm okay." Haley interrupted softly. "I'm safe." Olivia exhaled in relief. "You don't sound okay. What happened? Is he there? Did he yell at you again?" "Haley, if he laid a hand on you, I swear It was worse tonight," Haley said, voice unsteady. "I'll explain later. I'm not at home right now." "Where are you?" Olivia asked, alarmed. Haley glanced at Luca. He was watching her, calm but attentive. "I'm at a neighbor's apartment," she said. "He helped me." "He?" Olivia repeated immediately. "What he?" "A man who lives in the building. He heard everything and came in." "Is he trustworthy?" Olivia demanded. Haley looked at Luca again. He didn't look away. "Yes," she said quietly. "He is." Olivia sighed. "Okay. You scared me half to death. Please send me your location and call me when you can. Promise?" "I promise," Haley replied. She hung up and set the phone down. "Your friend cares about you," Luca said. "Too much," Haley said. "She always said something was wrong. I kept pretending everything was fine." "People do that when they're scared," he said. She nodded. "Do you want my last name?" he asked suddenly. The question caught her off guard. "Your last name?" "You said you don't know who I am," he reminded her. "You should at least know my full name." She hesitated, then nodded. "Okay." He leaned back in the chair, eyes still on her. "It's Luca Conti," he said. The name landed between them like a stone dropped into still water. Haley frowned slightly. "Conti." She repeated it, trying it on her tongue. It felt familiar, but she was too tired to understand why. "You can look it up later if you want," he said. "Not tonight. You need rest." She narrowed her eyes a little. "Is there something I should be scared of?" His answer was calm, honest. "You should respect what I'm involved in," he said. "But you don't need to be afraid of me." Her heart pounded faster. "I'm trusting you with something big," she said. "Trust goes both ways," Luca replied. She couldn't explain it, but that made her chest warm. Haley stood up slowly. "I'll try to sleep again. If I can. If you wake up and feel worse, or if you remember more details and panic, come back out here," he told her. "Don't stay alone with it." She nodded. She took a few steps toward the hallway, then stopped and looked back over her shoulder. "Luca," she called softly. "Yes?" "If you hadn't been home tonight." Her voice shook. He held her gaze. "I was home." It was a simple answer, but it hit her hard. She swallowed and whispered, "Thank you for hearing me." He didn't smile, but something in his expression softened. "Go rest, Haley." She walked back to the guest room and closed the door behind her, heart still racing, but for a different reason now. She lay down on the bed and stared at the ceiling for a long time, replaying everything. His voice, his hands pulling Ethan away, his eyes when he said she would not go back. His last name, Luca Conti. She picked up her phone, opened a browser, and typed it in. The first headlines that appeared made her sit up straight, blood running cold and hot at the same time. Words like crime family, underworld ties, powerful boss, and Conti syndicate flashed across the screen. Her fingers trembled as she scrolled. The man who saved her tonight was not just a neighbor. He was something else, something dangerous, something feared, and Haley Bennett had just stepped into his world without even realizing it. She locked the phone with a shaking hand and lay back down, heart pounding. Safe or not, one thing was clear. Nothing in her life would ever be simple again. Haley barely slept after reading Luca's last name. Every time she closed her eyes, fragments of articles, rumors, and whispered warnings from online posts replayed in her mind. Words like syndicate, power, danger, underworld influence, all linked to the name Conti. And yet the man she had met tonight didn't match any of that. He hadn't threatened her. He hadn't barked orders. He hadn't touched her without permission. He had saved her. That conflict kept her awake for hours. By morning, exhaustion and fear mixed into a single dull ache behind her eyes. She sat on the edge of the bed, fingers pressed to her temples, breathing slowly as the early sun filtered through the curtains. She only moved when she heard footsteps outside the room. Slow, heavy, calm. Luca. Haley stood abruptly and opened the door a few inches, peeking out. Luca was walking down the hallway toward the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, hair slightly messy like he hadn't slept either. He stopped when he saw her. "You're awake," he said. "Barely," she whispered. He nodded once and motioned to the kitchen. "You should eat something." Haley hesitated, then followed him. The kitchen was spotless, modern, almost intimidating with how expensive everything looked. Marble counters, stainless steel appliances, soft lighting. It felt like a place where people had controlled, quiet lives. Not lives like hers. Luca poured water into a glass and set it in front of her. "Drink." She did, grateful for something cold going down her throat. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed lightly. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Tired," she admitted. "My neck hurts, my head hurts, and my heart feels like it's running a marathon." "You went through a lot last night," he said. "It will take time to come down from that." Haley nodded slowly. She placed the glass on the counter, fingers tracing the condensation. Then she took a breath. "I looked up your last name." She didn't try to ease into it. No point. Luca's eyes stayed on her. No surprise, no denial, no anger. "What did you find?" he asked calmly. "Enough to know you're not just a neighbor from down the hall." "Correct. And not just a businessman." "Also correct." Her hands tightened around the glass. "So what are you exactly?" He didn't move. Didn't blink. "A man who doesn't hurt people who don't deserve it," he said. "And a man who protects the people he chooses to protect." "That's not a real answer." "It's the one you need this morning." She swallowed. "Should I be scared of you?" "No," he said without hesitation. "Not you." The answer left her both relieved and unsettled. "How many people know who you really are?" she asked. "Not many," he replied. "And none of them will use your name." "But if someone finds out I was here—" "They won't," he cut in softly. "No one touches a woman under my roof." Haley stared at him. There was no arrogance in his tone, no threat, just certainty. "Last night," she said slowly, "you kicked down a door and beat a man unconscious for me. Today you're telling me I'm safe here. But what happens when Ethan goes to the police, when he tells people what you did?" "He won't," Luca said. "How can you be so sure?" Luca inhaled deeply. "Because I saw his eyes when I held him down. Men like him only know how to control someone weaker. The moment they face someone stronger, they break." Haley lowered her gaze. The truth stung. She had been weaker. She hated admitting it, but it was reality. "He'll come after me," she whispered. "He always does when I leave. Always finds a way to twist everything." "He won't touch you again," Luca said. "You can't promise that." "I just did." She looked up, meeting his eyes. For the first time, she didn't feel like she was being told something. She felt like someone was taking responsibility for her safety. But that scared her in a different way. "I don't want to depend on someone else," she said. "I don't want to replace Ethan with another man who takes control of everything." Luca straightened. "I'm not here to take control of your life. I stepped in last night because you were in danger. That's all." She took a slow breath. "Then what happens now?" "You decide," Luca said simply. "Do you want help getting your things? Do you want to stay here for a while? Do you want to go somewhere else? Do you want legal action, or do you want silence? None of it is my choice." Haley blinked. That wasn't the answer she expected. It felt like the first moment in a long time where someone wasn't telling her what she should do. "What do you think I should do?" she asked quietly. Luca looked at her for a moment, weighing his words. "I think you should never step foot inside that apartment alone again," he said. "And I think you should get your things today before he gets brave enough to try to take them." Her stomach tightened. "He'll be there." "Yes," Luca said. "Then what if he—" "He won't do anything," Luca said calmly. "Not with me there, not even close." Haley let out a shaky breath. "Okay, I'll go, but only if you come with me." "I was already planning to," Luca replied. Before she could say anything else, Luca's phone vibrated on the counter. He glanced at the screen. The name Marco Rivera flashed across it. Luca answered. "What is it?" A deep voice responded loud enough for Haley to hear. "I'm at the building entrance. You weren't picking up last night. Everything good?" Luca's eyes flicked to Haley. "I'll explain in a minute. Come up." "On my way," Marco said. Haley straightened. "Someone else is coming here?" "My right hand," Luca said. "He needs to know you'll be with me today." She swallowed hard. "Is he safe?" Luca gave a short nod. "Safe, loyal, and smarter than he looks." Haley wasn't sure whether that was comforting or terrifying. A few seconds later, the elevator doors opened, and a tall man with dark hair and a trimmed beard stepped into the penthouse. He wore a black jacket and moved with the same deliberate confidence Luca had. His eyes immediately landed on Haley. He slowed. "This her?" Marco asked. "Yes," Luca replied. Marco's jaw tightened slightly as he took her in. Bruised, tired, standing in one of Luca's shirts since hers was torn from last night. But there was no judgment in his eyes, only awareness. "What happened?" Marco asked. Luca's response was simple. Her husband laid hands on her. Marco's gaze sharpened. "Where is he now?" "On the wrong side of my patients," Luca said. Marco exhaled once like he'd expected that answer. "You need anything?" Marco asked Haley directly, his tone unexpectedly gentle. She blinked, surprised by his softness. "No, thank you." "Do you want me to stay outside when you go back for her things?" Marco asked Luca. "Yes," Luca said. "We're not taking chances." Haley felt her pulse jump. "He'll see you. He'll see both of you. He'll think—" "He can think whatever he wants," Luca said. "He won't get near you." Marco pulled out something from his inner jacket, a small wrapped piece of chocolate. He held it out. Haley stared. "What is that for?" "You look like someone who needs sugar before dealing with more stress," Marco said. "It helps." She let out a tiny, unexpected laugh. "You give people chocolate?" "Only the ones the boss brings home," he said. Luca shot him a look, but there was no real irritation behind it. Marco raised his hands slightly. "What? I'm being polite." Haley shook her head softly, a small warmth spreading in her chest. She didn't realize how long it had been since someone tried to make her smile. Luca stood straight. "We leave in 20 minutes. Haley, take the time to breathe, eat something if you can, and get ready." She nodded. "Okay." Marco walked toward the door and paused. "Boss?" "Yes?" "You want me to do anything else?" Luca's voice dropped. "Later, not now." Marco nodded and stepped into the elevator. Once they were alone again, Haley leaned against the counter and let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Is it always like this?" she asked. "What do you mean?" "People calling you boss. Men like Marco being loyal. Everyone looking to you for answers." She shook her head. "This is a different world from mine." "It doesn't have to become yours," Luca said. "You're not involved in anything. You were just someone who needed help." Haley looked at him for a long moment. "That's not how it feels," she whispered. "It feels like last night pulled me into something I don't understand." Luca walked closer. "You're not in danger because of me," he said softly. "You're in danger because of him, and until he's out of your life completely, I'm not stepping away." Haley's breath caught. No one had ever said anything like that to her. Not her parents, not friends, and definitely not Ethan. Luca wasn't talking like a man who felt obligated. He was talking like a man who had made a decision, a deliberate one. "Luca," she whispered, unsure how to respond. He took a breath and stepped back, creating space again. "We should leave soon." Before she could answer, her phone buzzed. Haley froze. The screen lit up. Ethan. 3 messages, all unread. Luca saw her expression change. "Show me." She hesitated only for a second, then handed him the phone. He unlocked the screen and read the messages. "Where are you? You can't just leave. Come home now." Haley's stomach twisted so hard she felt sick. "He thinks he still owns me." "He doesn't," Luca said. "He always does this," she whispered. "Hurts me, then pretends nothing happened. Tells me to come home like I just went out for milk." Luca handed the phone back. "He doesn't know you're with me," Luca said. "If he did, those messages would look very different." "Would he be scared?" she asked. "No," Luca said. "He'd be stupid. There's a difference." Haley covered her mouth, trying not to cry again. "I can't see him alone. I can't even look at him." "You won't have to." "Are you sure this is a good idea?" "I don't do good ideas," Luca replied calmly. "I do necessary ones." A shaky breath escaped her. Luca stepped toward the hallway. "Get your shoes. Put on something warm. The bruises will hurt when the air hits them." She nodded. "And Haley?" She turned. Luca's voice softened. "You're not the same woman who left that apartment last night. You're not going back there afraid." Her throat tightened, but in a different way. He held her gaze. "You're going back with me." When Haley returned from the guest room, Luca stood by the elevator with a black coat and keys in hand. She slipped on her shoes and pulled her borrowed shirt tighter around herself. "Ready?" he asked. "No," she said honestly. "But I'll go anyway." "That's enough." They stepped into the elevator together. The ride down was quiet, tense. Haley held the railing, trying to steady her breath. Luca stood beside her, close, but not crowding. When the doors opened into the lobby, Marco was already waiting near the exit. He gave Haley a reassuring nod, then looked to Luca. "Car's outside," he said. "Front is clear." Luca motioned. "Let's go." The 3 stepped out into the morning air. It was cold, sharp, biting at Haley's throat. She wrapped her arms around herself as they approached the black SUV parked by the curb. Marco opened the back door for her. "You sit with the boss," he said. Haley climbed in, and Luca followed, sitting beside her. Marco got in the front seat and started the engine. As the car pulled away, Haley felt her heart pounding again. Luca watched her hands tremble. "If it gets too much," he said quietly, "tell me." She shook her head. "I'm not backing out." "I didn't say you were." She glanced at him, meeting his steady eyes. "I meant," he added, "you don't have to hold it all in." Her eyes burned. She looked away. The roads blurred by, each second bringing her closer to the apartment she had run from last night. Closer to Ethan. Closer to the confrontation she feared and needed. When Marco turned onto her street, her breath hitched. The building rose in front of them. Luca leaned forward. "Marco." "I see him," Marco said. Haley's heart dropped. "He's outside?" Ethan stood by the entrance, pacing, checking his phone, scanning every passing car nervously. "He looks rattled," Marco said. "Probably didn't sleep." "Good," Luca muttered. Haley froze. "What do we do?" Luca turned to her. "We walk in," he said. "Together." "And him?" she whispered. Luca's expression didn't change. "He won't touch you." The SUV stopped. Marco stepped out first. Luca opened the door on Haley's side and offered his hand. She took it. They stepped onto the sidewalk together, Luca slightly in front of her, Marco flanking her other side. Ethan looked up. His face went pale, his eyes locked on Luca, then on Haley, then back to Luca. "What the hell is this?" Ethan barked, voice shaking. "Your last morning bothering her," Luca said. Ethan's mouth opened and closed like he couldn't decide whether to yell or run. "This is my wife," Ethan snapped. "She belongs with me." Luca stepped forward, voice low. She belongs wherever she wants to be, and she doesn't want to be with you. Ethan glared at Haley. You're really doing this? You're leaving with him? Some stranger who breaks into apartments? Haley's breath trembled. She almost stepped back, but Luca's hand settled lightly on her back. Not pushing, just steadying. She lifted her chin. I'm leaving with someone who didn't hurt me, she said. That's all that matters. Ethan's face twisted with rage. You're dead, he snarled at Luca. Do you hear me? You're... Luca stepped closer, invading Ethan's space so effortlessly Ethan stumbled backward. Choose your next words carefully, Luca said. Ethan froze, because now he recognized him. Haley saw the moment it clicked. The moment her fragile, violent husband finally understood who Luca Conti was. His eyes widened, his hands shook. You're... Yes, Luca said calmly. Haley had never seen Ethan look scared before, but he was now, terrified. Luca stepped back and motioned to the front doors. Haley will collect her things. You stay out here. Ethan didn't move. Marco stepped forward. Did you not understand the boss? Ethan swallowed hard and backed away, not out of respect, but pure fear. Luca turned to Haley. Let's go. She nodded, heart pounding, but standing taller than she expected. They entered the building together. For the first time in years, Haley didn't walk into her apartment as a victim. She walked in with Luca Conti beside her, and nothing about that felt temporary. Haley stepped into the apartment she had been dragged through the night before, not as a terrified woman crawling for air, but with Luca Conti beside her. The contrast hit her instantly. The broken lamp. The wine spilled across the floor. The shattered glass near the kitchen. The picture frames tilted on the wall. Everything exactly where violence had left it. Her breath caught. Luca stopped just inside the doorway, scanning the space with the sharp eyes of a man who had walked into dangerous rooms his entire life. His hand brushed lightly against her back. You okay? He asked. She nodded, though her heart hammered so loud she felt it in her throat. Marco waited outside with the front door open, blocking the entrance so Ethan stayed on the sidewalk where he belonged. Haley stepped farther inside, her fingers curling into fists as she walked past the overturned dining chair. She forced herself to breathe through it. Where do you want to start? Luca asked gently. Haley took a shaky breath. My room. Luca nodded and followed her down the hall. Every step was a battle between memory and reality, between the woman she had been yesterday and the one she was trying to become today. She entered her bedroom slowly. The bed was unmade. Clothes were scattered on the floor. One of her drawers was left open. She remembered Ethan ripping through it during their fight, looking for her phone, accusing her of hiding messages she never even received. Haley swallowed. I'll get your bag, Luca said. He crouched near the closet while she picked up a sweater from the floor. The fabric still smelled like her perfume, safe, familiar, home, but also tainted by the memory of who she once shared this space with. Luca opened a suitcase and held it steady while she placed her clothes inside. She folded quickly, not wanting to spend more time here than necessary. You take what you need, he said. If something is missing, I'll come back for it later. She nodded. After a moment of silence, she whispered, This place feels smaller today. Luca looked at her. Because you're not afraid in the same way. Haley paused, the weight of his observation hitting her deeper than she expected. She looked around the room one last time before closing the suitcase. I'm done here. Not yet, Luca said softly. You still have the bathroom. Make sure you have whatever you use every day. She nodded again, grateful for how he guided without controlling. She grabbed her toothbrush, makeup bag, a few personal hygiene items, then stepped back into the living room. That's when she heard it. A faint sound, a shaky inhale, a stifled sob, from herself. She hadn't realized tears were streaming down until Luca gently touched her shoulder. You're doing better than you think, he said. Her chest tightened. Why are you being so kind to me? Luca's eyes softened, though his voice stayed steady. Because someone should have been kind to you long before I showed up. She covered her mouth, fighting a wave of emotion. He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. After a moment, he lifted the suitcase and motioned toward the door. "Let's go." She followed, her heart pounding as they reached the threshold. Marco stood tall in the doorway, blocking Ethan's line of sight like a human wall. "All clear," he said. Luca turned to Haley. "You ready?" "Yes." Her voice cracked, but she didn't correct it. They walked outside together. Ethan was still standing on the sidewalk, arms crossed tightly, jaw clenched, trying to pretend he had control when he had none. The second he saw the suitcase, he snapped. "So that's it?" he demanded. "You're leaving me for some guy you don't even know?" Luca didn't look at him. He didn't need to. Haley swallowed hard. "I'm leaving because you hurt me." Ethan scoffed loudly. "You're overreacting. If you didn't—" "Stop," Luca said, finally turning his head. The single word froze Ethan mid-sentence. His face drained of color. Luca stepped slightly in front of Haley, not blocking her, but shielding her. "If you speak to her again without permission," Luca said calmly, "I will take your voice away." Ethan blinked rapidly, trembling. You can't threaten me like—" "I'm not threatening you," Luca replied. "I'm explaining how this will work." Haley watched the exchange with a mixture of fear and a strange, deep relief. For the first time, Ethan looked exactly how she had always felt, powerless. Luca handed Marco the suitcase and held out his hand for Haley. She hesitated for only a second before slipping her hand into his. Ethan's voice cracked as he lunged forward. "You can't just take her." Marco moved instantly, stepping between them with a firm shove. "She's not yours." Ethan stumbled back. "You have no right." Luca's expression didn't change. His voice stayed calm. "She screamed for help," Luca said, "and I heard her. That's all the right I need." Ethan shook with rage, pointing a trembling finger at Haley. "You're making a mistake. He's dangerous. People like him—" Haley stepped forward, shaking but not backing down. "No," she said. "You're dangerous. Not him." Ethan froze, stunned. Haley took a breath so deep it hurt her ribs. "You made me believe I deserved the things you did to me, but I don't. I never did." Ethan's mouth fell open. Haley turned away. Luca opened the SUV door for her. She got in without looking back. Marco loaded the suitcase in the trunk and climbed into the passenger seat. Luca got into the back with her, not beside her but close enough that she felt his presence steady her heartbeat. As the SUV pulled away, Haley's fingers clenched around the seatbelt. "You did well," Luca said quietly. "I didn't feel well." "That doesn't matter," he replied. "You stood your ground." She looked down at her hands. "I didn't know I could." "You could," he said. "You just never had support." Haley looked at him then, really looked at him. "Why are you helping me like this?" she whispered. He didn't answer immediately. "Because I don't ignore screams," he said eventually. "Not anymore." Her heart twisted, sensing a story behind his words. Something painful. "What does that mean?" she asked. He shook his head. "Not today." The car rode in silence for a moment. Then Haley whispered, "Where are we going now?" "To my place," Luca said. "Unless you want someplace else." Her voice trembled. "I don't know where else to go." "Then you're staying with me." Her breath caught. "For how long?" "As long as you need." Her throat tightened. "Luca, what if this is too much for you?" He turned his head toward her, his gaze unwavering. "I decide what's too much," he said. Her heart thudded hard. Marco glanced at them through the rearview mirror, but stayed quiet. When they reached the penthouse, Luca led her inside. Haley felt different crossing the threshold this time. Not like she was intruding, but like she was stepping somewhere she belonged temporarily. Somewhere safe. "Sit," he said, setting her suitcase down. She sat on the couch, hugging a pillow, while Luca rolled up his sleeves and began picking up the things she dropped earlier. "You don't have to clean," she said softly. "I know," he replied, but he kept doing it anyway. When he finished, he walked toward her and dropped onto the armchair across from her. "Haley," he said, "there's something we need to talk about." Her pulse quickened. "What is it?" He leaned forward, forearms resting on his knees. "Last night wasn't random," he said. Men like Ethan don't stop because someone tells them to. They don't listen to warnings. Her mouth went dry. So, he'll come after me again? He'll try, Luca said. But he won't reach you. Haley held the pillow tighter. Why are you so sure? Because I won't let him. His voice was steady, but there was something in it. Something she hadn't heard before. A promise. A vow. She swallowed hard. Why? You barely know me. He held her gaze. I don't need time to know when someone deserves protection. Her chest warmed, but fear lingered. And what happens if... She hesitated. If being near me puts you in danger? Luca's expression didn't change. I'm already in danger, he said calmly. My world isn't yours. But last night, our lives crossed, and now I'm involved. Haley stared at him. You're saying I'm part of your life now? Luca didn't blink. Yes, he said simply. Her breath caught. Do you want that? She whispered. Another long silence. Then, yes. Haley's heart raced in a way that had nothing to do with fear. Luca stood. You should rest. Tonight was hard. Tomorrow will be better. She watched him walk toward the hallway. Right before he disappeared from view, he stopped, turning his head slightly. And Haley? Yes? If you feel scared, or alone, or overwhelmed, you come to me. Her pulse jumped again. Why? His eyes softened just enough for her to see something behind them. Because I hear you, he said, even when you don't say anything. He walked away. Haley looked down at her hands, realizing they weren't shaking for the first time in years. She should have been afraid. She should have been confused. Instead, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, safe and seen. But she didn't realize something important, not yet. Saving her wasn't an impulse for Luca. It was a beginning. And Haley Bennett had just become someone Luca Conti would protect at any cost. Haley woke up with the sunlight warming her face and the faint scent of coffee drifting through the penthouse. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. The bed was softer than anything she owned. The room was quiet. No yelling, no footsteps, no fear sitting on her chest. Then memory flooded back. Luca, the apartment, Ethan outside, the suitcase, the look in Luca's eyes when he told her she was part of his life now. Haley sat up slowly, rubbing her face. She checked her phone. No missed calls from Ethan, no threats. Just 2 messages from Olivia, both asking if she was okay. She typed a quick reply. I'm safe. I'll call you later. Then she stood, pulling on a sweater from her suitcase. When she stepped out into the hallway, she heard voices. Quiet, firm, controlled. Luca's and Marco's. She hesitated, but curiosity made her move closer, stopping just outside the living room. The 2 men stood near the windows, city light outlining them. I don't trust him, Marco was saying. He's been asking questions about you. He won't get answers, Luca replied. And what about her? Marco asked quietly. Haley held her breath. What about her? Luca said. She was married to a man who has no boundaries, Marco said. A man who now knows your face. And people like him look for revenge when they lose control. Luca's jaw tightened. He already had revenge planned, long before I walked in. And you? Marco asked. What's your plan now? Luca didn't answer immediately. Keep her safe, he said finally. Marco huffed softly. That's not a plan. That's instinct. It's enough, Luca said. Not when it's her, Marco murmured. Haley's heart skipped. Luca exhaled, long and slow. I'm handling it. Marco paused. Are you handling it because she needs help? Or because you care? Haley's stomach flipped. Luca didn't move for several seconds. When he spoke, his voice was lower. I care if she's safe, he said. That's all. Marco lifted an eyebrow. For now. Luca shot him a look that ended the conversation. Haley stepped back quickly to avoid being caught listening. She forced herself to breathe, then walked into the room as if she had just woken up. Luca looked at her immediately. "You're awake," he said. She nodded. I heard coffee." "There's breakfast, too," he said. "Sit." She sat on the stool by the kitchen island while he handed her a mug. She noticed the faint bruise on his knuckles. The reminder of last night sent a shiver through her. "You didn't sleep much," she said softly. "I slept enough." She doubted that, but didn't push. Marco walked toward the door. "I'll be downstairs. Call if you need anything." Before leaving, he gave Haley a small nod, a sign she hadn't earned but felt strangely comforting. When the door closed, silence fell between her and Luca. She took a sip of coffee. "Luca, what happens now?" He sat across from her, hands wrapped around his own mug. "Now," he said calmly, "you rest. You get your strength back. You think about what you want to do next." "What if Ethan files something against you?" she asked. Luca's expression didn't change. "Then he'll regret it. But what if he tells the police that someone kicked in his door because he was choking his wife?" Luca interrupted. "He wants to avoid attention, not bring it." Haley blinked. "How do you know he won't do something worse?" Luca leaned forward slightly. "Because he saw me, and he knows exactly what I'm capable of." Her heart beat faster at the quiet power in his voice. "Luca," she whispered, "I don't want you to get hurt because of me." "I won't," he said, "but your life, your reputation, your world, none of that matters more than stopping a man like him." She swallowed hard. "Why do you care this much?" The question hung between them. Luca looked away for a moment, his fingers tapping once against the counter. "When I was younger," he said slowly, "I saw someone get hurt. Someone who didn't deserve it. I did nothing. And I've lived with it for a long time." He looked back at her. "I don't let it happen anymore." Haley's throat tightened. She wasn't sure what to say. She didn't want to push him into revealing something he'd kept buried for years. Then he added quietly, "You remind me of her." The words cut through her chest. Her voice trembled. "Who was she?" "That's a story for another day," he said. She nodded. She respected that. Luca stood. "Finish your coffee. I need to make a call." He walked a few steps away, but Haley still heard him. "Anthony, meet me in an hour. I need to talk." She frowned. "Anthony?" "My younger brother," Luca said, putting his phone away. "He keeps track of certain things, including people like Ethan." Haley's stomach tightened. "I don't want anyone hurt because of me." "Haley," Luca said, turning toward her, "you're not responsible for his actions. He is." She sighed. "But your world, I don't want to be part of something dangerous." "You're not," he said. "You're under my protection, not in my business." She held his gaze. "There's a difference?" "There is now." Her chest warmed unexpectedly. He softened his tone. "Come on. You should take a shower. Relax. I'll be here." Haley spent nearly 20 minutes under the hot water, washing off the fear, the dirt, the bruises that hurt more than she expected. When she stepped out wrapped in a towel, she felt lighter, though still fragile. She borrowed another shirt from her suitcase, choosing the softest one, and returned to the living room. Luca wasn't alone. A younger man, maybe late 20s, dark hair, sharp jawline, stood with him. He wore a leather jacket and looked like trouble in a way Luca didn't. Luca waved her closer. "Haley, this is my brother, Anthony." Anthony offered a respectful nod. "Good to meet you." "You too?" she whispered, shy. Anthony glanced at Luca. "I heard what happened. You want me to keep tabs on the guy?" "Yes," Luca said, discreetly. Haley's stomach twisted. "Tabs? Meaning what?" Anthony shrugged. "Check where he goes, who he talks to. Make sure he's not planning something stupid." "And if he is?" she asked quietly. Anthony didn't answer. Luca did. "If he is," Luca said, "we stop him." Haley wrapped her arms around herself. Anthony studied her for a moment, his eyes surprisingly gentle. "He really hurt you, didn't he?" Haley nodded once. Anthony nodded too. something like understanding crossing his face. Then we'll handle it. Luca shot his brother a look that ended the conversation. Anthony raised both hands in surrender. All right, I'm gone, he said, but call me if anything changes. He left. Haley sank onto the couch, overwhelmed. This is a lot. I know, Luca said, sitting next to her. Not close enough to touch, but close enough that she felt safer. Haley pressed her palms together. Luca, I had no idea who you were when you saved me. That doesn't change anything, he said. It changes everything, she whispered. How? You're dangerous, she said softly. People know your name. People fear you. Yes, he admitted. Should I be afraid too? No, he said again firmly. Not you. Why? She asked. Luca turned slightly toward her. Because I would never hurt you, and I would never let anyone else do it. Her breath caught. You say it like you mean it, she whispered. I do. Her heart thudded. She stared down at her hands. What if Ethan tries something again? He will, Luca said without hesitation. Men like him don't stop. They push until someone stops them. And that someone is you? Luca's voice lowered. If it has to be. Her chest tightened with fear and gratitude at the same time. A long silence settled between them, not awkward, emotional. Then Haley whispered a question she hadn't dared think before. Why do you care so much? Luca didn't breathe for a moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, softer, honest. Because when I pulled him off you, I felt something I haven't felt in years. Her eyes lifted to his. What? She whispered. Anger, he said. Real anger. The kind that means someone crossed a line they never should have crossed. He paused. And because last night wasn't the first time I heard someone scream for help. Her eyes widened. Who was it? He shook his head slowly. Not today. Okay, she whispered, respecting the boundaries he set. Luca exhaled, straightened his posture, and changed the subject. You should rest. I can't, she said honestly. My mind won't stop. What's bothering you the most? That I don't feel like myself anymore, she said, and I'm scared that if I let you help me, I'll lose more of who I was. Luca leaned forward, resting his forearms on his knees. I don't want you to become someone else, he said. I just want you safe. Her eyes softened. And what if I become dependent on you? You won't, he said. But if you need support while you heal, you take it. Haley swallowed back tears. Her voice shook. Why are you being so gentle with me? Luca's eyes locked on hers. Because you deserve gentleness, he said. More than you know. The words hit a part of her heart she didn't know was still alive. Before she could speak, someone knocked on the penthouse door. Hard, urgent. Luca stood instantly, expression shifting from soft to sharp. Stay here, he said. She froze. Luca opened the door to find Marco, breathless, jaw tight. Boss, Marco said. We've got a problem. Luca's tone went cold. What happened? Marco's eyes flicked toward Haley, then back to Luca. It's him, Marco said quietly. Ethan. He's not home. That's not a problem, Luca replied. It is, Marco said. Because he's not home, and his car isn't either. Haley's stomach dropped. She whispered, Where is he? Marco looked at them grimly. We don't know. Haley felt her throat close. Luca stepped closer to her immediately. He won't get near you, he said. But for the first time, his eyes darkened with concern. Because Ethan Collins wasn't hiding. He was moving. And people who moved quietly were the ones Luca hated the most. Haley's heartbeat didn't calm for a long time after Marco delivered the news. Ethan missing was worse than Ethan angry. At least when he was furious, she knew where he was. Silence was unpredictable. Silence meant planning, and planning meant danger. Luca paced near the windows, phone in his hand, eyes sharp, expression controlled but tense. Marco stood by the kitchen counter, arms crossed, already texting someone. Haley moved closer to Luca, unsure if she should speak. He turned before she did. "Haley," he said, voice steady but firmer than before, "sit down for a moment." She obeyed immediately, lowering herself onto the couch. Her palms were damp, knees tense, mind rushing with every possibility. "Why would he disappear like that?" she asked softly. "There are only two reasons," Luca said. "One, he's scared. Two, he's stupid." Marco added, "He could be both." Haley hugged her arms. "He's not brave, but he doesn't know when to stop." Luca nodded slowly. "Which is why we're not waiting for him to make the first move." He dialed a number. Haley watched him as he spoke. "Anthony, check traffic cameras near Haley's building. His car is missing. He left sometime after we did. Notify the guys on the east side. I want eyes on every block around his usual routes." A pause. "Good. Call me when you find anything." He hung up. Haley's voice trembled. "Luca, am I putting you in danger?" "No," he answered immediately. "You don't know what he'll do." "I know exactly what men like him do," Luca said. "They hit until someone stronger hits back." She looked at the floor, her throat tightening. "I don't want to drag you into this." "You didn't," Luca said. "I walked in myself." She swallowed. "Why?" He didn't answer. Not directly. Not yet. Marco cleared his throat. "Boss, I'm heading out. I'll keep my phone open." Luca nodded. "Find him." Marco left through the elevator, and the door shut with a quiet click. Silence settled again. Heavy. Thick. Loaded. Haley lifted her head slowly. "Luca," she whispered. "What if he tries to come here?" "He won't reach this floor," Luca said. "But what if he follows someone inside? What if he—" "He won't," Luca repeated, stepping closer. "This building is secure. And I'm here." She took a shaky breath, but her body didn't relax. He knelt in front of her, bringing their eyes level. "Look at me," he said quietly. She did. "You're safe here," he said. "I don't want you afraid." "I'm trying," she whispered. "I really am. I know." His voice softened. "You've been living in fear a long time. It doesn't disappear overnight." Her eyes filled with tears she didn't want to show. Luca reached out slowly, giving her time to pull back, and placed a hand gently on her knee. Not territorial, not controlling, just grounding. Haley exhaled a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Can I ask you something?" she whispered. "Yes." "Have you dealt with someone like Ethan before?" Luca's jaw tensed for a moment. "Too many times." "And what happened to them?" His eyes met hers. "They stopped hurting people." Her chest tightened. "Stopped? Because of you?" "Yes." "Luca, I don't want him to get hurt." "He already hurt you," Luca said. "He chose this path. But if something happens to him—" "Nothing will happen," Luca interrupted calmly. "Unless he forces it." Haley looked down, tears falling silently. He placed 2 fingers under her chin and lifted her face gently. "I won't touch him unless he makes me," Luca said. "I'm not here to punish. I'm here to protect." A tear fell down her cheek. Luca wiped it with his thumb. "You don't have to cry alone anymore," he whispered. Her chest trembled. She closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, she felt a strange pull inside her. A gravity toward him she didn't know how to fight. "Luca," she whispered, "you make me feel safe." He exhaled lightly, something unspoken crossing his eyes. "That's good," he said softly. "Because you are." Hours passed slowly. Haley sat curled on the couch looking through the city skyline. She tried reading. She tried calling Olivia. She tried breathing exercises. But nothing settled the storm inside her. Luca watched her from the dining table, pretending to go through documents, but Haley could feel his eyes checking on her every few minutes. Eventually she stood and walked to the kitchen. "I want to help," she said. "With what?" he asked. "Something, anything. I can't sit and wait." Luca put the papers down. "You don't need to help. You need to rest." "I can't rest," she admitted. "Not until we know where he is." Luca studied her expression. Then he nodded slowly. "All right, come here." She stepped closer. We'll go through your messages, Luca said. Your social media, your email, everything. If he tried to reach you from another account, we'll see it. She nodded, grateful for something to focus on. They sat side by side on the couch, not touching, but close. Haley unlocked her phone. Together they scrolled through notifications. Nothing from Ethan except the messages he had sent earlier. Come home. We need to talk. This isn't funny. You better not be with someone. Haley shivered. Typical, Luca muttered. Threats disguised as concern. She nodded. This is how we always talked. When did it start? Luca asked quietly. Haley swallowed. A few months after we got married. What changed? Everything, she whispered. He lost his job. He started drinking. And he started blaming me for everything. Luca's jaw tightened. You didn't deserve a single thing he did to you. Her breath trembled. He kept saying I made him angry, that if I just listened, he wouldn't have to yell. That's what men like him always say, Luca replied. It's never true. Haley closed her eyes. I believed him. Not anymore, Luca said. She nodded slowly. When she opened her eyes, she saw Luca watching her, closely, carefully, with an intensity that felt both overwhelming and comforting. Haley, he said softly, you're not weak. She shook her head. I don't feel strong. You don't have to feel strong, he said. You just have to keep going. Her eyes softened. How can you understand so much about this? His gaze lowered for a second. Because I saw someone I cared about fall apart for the same reasons, and I couldn't save her. Haley's lips parted. Luca, it was a long time ago, he said. But I recognized the signs. She whispered, I'm sorry. You don't have to be, he replied. A long, heavy silence filled the room. Not uncomfortable, emotional. Haley's voice broke quietly. Thank you. For everything. Luca's throat moved slightly, but he said nothing. An hour later, Marco called. Luca answered immediately. Talk. We found his car, Marco said. Haley sat up straight, pulse quickening. Where? Luca asked. In a grocery store parking lot on the west side. Was he inside the store? Luca asked. No, Marco replied, but we saw him on the cameras. Haley's stomach twisted. Doing what? Marco hesitated. Walking around, alone, talking to himself, looking angry. Did he meet anyone? Luca asked. No, Marco said, but here's the problem. He was holding a bag. Haley's heart dropped. A bag? What kind of bag? Luca demanded. A small one, Marco said. Dark. We couldn't see what was inside. Luca closed his eyes for a moment. When was this? He asked. 20 minutes ago. Luca hung up, his expression darkening. Luca? Haley whispered. What does that mean? He turned to her slowly, voice calm but colder than she'd heard before. It means he bought something, Luca said. And until we know what it is, we're not taking chances. Haley's blood ran cold. Do you think he bought? We don't make assumptions, Luca said. But we prepare. She covered her mouth, trembling. Luca. He moved closer immediately. Look at me, he said. She looked. You're not alone, he said. You're not in danger. You're with me. And nothing will happen to you. Her tears spilled. I'm scared. I know, he said softly. But fear doesn't decide what happens next. I do. The words steadied her more than she expected. He brushed a tear off her cheek with his thumb. We'll find him, he said, and we'll stop whatever he's planning. She nodded. He stepped back. Until then, you don't leave this apartment without me or Marco. Okay, she whispered, and you don't open the door for anyone. Okay, and you stay where I can see you. Her cheeks warmed. Okay. He studied her face for a long moment, then exhaled slowly. You're shaking, he murmured. I can't help it, she said. Luca took a step closer. Come here, he said quietly. Haley hesitated only a moment before moving toward him. He didn't hug her fully, but he rested a hand on her back, his touch warm and steady. She leaned into him slightly, feeling the safety she had been craving for years. Her voice was barely audible. "You make it easier to breathe." His breath hitched almost imperceptibly. "You're safe," he repeated. She pulled back slightly, their faces close, too close. Haley's heart raced. She didn't know if she was imagining it, but Luca's eyes seemed to linger on her lips for a second, just a second. Then he cleared his throat and stepped back. "We should eat," he said. "You need strength." She nodded, embarrassed by how quickly she missed his warmth. Luca ordered food and they ate quietly. She watched the way he moved, decisive, controlled, always aware of everything around them. He wasn't just protecting her. He was studying every detail, preparing for whatever would happen next. After dinner, Haley curled on the couch under a blanket, exhaustion settling into her bones. Luca sat beside her, not too close, flipping through security feeds on his phone. The lights were dim, the city was quiet, but something about the moment felt strangely peaceful. "Luca," she whispered. "Yes? Do you think this will end soon?" He didn't answer for a moment. "I think it will end," he said. "But not before he tries something." Her chest tightened. "And if he does?" Luca looked at her. "Then he'll learn why people don't cross me," he said calmly. Her breath caught. Before either of them could say another word, Luca's phone vibrated sharply. He checked the screen. His jaw locked. Haley sat up. "What is it?" Luca's voice was low, dangerous. "It's Anthony." Haley's stomach dropped. "What did he say?" Luca looked at her, eyes dark. "They found Ethan." Her heart stopped. "Where?" Luca's answer came like a blow. "Standing outside this building." Haley's breath broke. "He's here, Haley." Luca stood. "And he isn't alone." Luca was already moving before Haley fully understood what he'd said. He stood from the couch in one sharp motion, grabbed his phone and keys, and crossed the living room with long, determined strides. His face had changed, still calm, but with a focus that made the air in the room feel tighter. Haley pushed the blanket away and forced herself to stand, her legs weak. "Luca," she whispered. "What does that mean? He's here? Now?" "Yes," Luca said, eyes on the door. "He's outside the building, and he isn't alone." Her blood ran cold. "Who's with him?" "We're about to find out." He reached for the small control panel near the hallway and tapped a few buttons. One of the large screens on the wall flickered on, showing a grainy but clear view from the front security camera. Haley felt her knees wobble. There he was. Ethan stood on the sidewalk, hands stuffed in his jacket pockets, hood pulled up, pacing like a caged animal. His eyes were wild, nervous, furious. Beside him were two other men, both older, both rough-looking, both strangers. One of them smoked, watching the entrance like he was waiting for a signal. The other kept looking up and down the street. Haley grabbed the back of a chair to steady herself. "Who are they?" "Not smart men," Luca muttered. "If they were, they wouldn't be here." Her throat felt dry. "Do you think he told them about you?" "Maybe," Luca said. "But they don't really know who they're dealing with. If they did, they wouldn't be standing in front of my building like that." Haley swallowed hard. "What are they going to do?" "They're not coming up," Luca said, studying the screen. "They're waiting. That means they want someone to go down." Her stomach twisted. "Me?" He looked at her. "Yes, you." She felt her heartbeat in her ears. He stepped closer, voice lower. "You're not going anywhere near that entrance. Do you understand me?" She nodded quickly. "I'm not going down there. Ever." "Good." His phone buzzed in his hand. Luca answered. "Anthony." Anthony's voice was sharp on the other side. "I'm watching from across the street. It's him. And he brought two idiots who owe him favors. They look impatient." "Anyone else?" Luca asked. "No," Anthony said. "Just them. For now. Keep your distance. Luca ordered. Don't let them see you yet. You got it, Anthony replied. What do you want me to do if they try to come in? Luca's voice went cold. Don't let them. Haley watched his profile, trying to find comfort in his control, but fear pressed against her lungs. Boss, Anthony said, you really think he came here just to scream at the front door? No, Luca said. He came here to feel powerful again. Anthony exhaled softly. Then we take that away from him. Luca hung up. Haley crossed her arms over her chest, rubbing her skin like she was trying to erase the chill. He came here for me. Yes, Luca said, because he can't stand that you walked away. Her voice shook. And that I did it with you. He didn't deny it. She stared at the screen. He looks different. How? Luca asked. Desperate, she whispered. Worse than usual, like he's losing control. He is, Luca said. Men like him don't know how to live without someone to crush. Her eyes burned. Luca stepped in front of the screen, blocking her view. Look at me, he said. She forced her eyes up. You are not going down there, he repeated. No matter what he says, no matter what he screams, no matter what he threatens. I know. If he mentions your family, your friend, your job, you don't move. I won't. If he says he'll hurt himself, or that it's your fault, you don't move. Tears spilled down her cheeks. He's done that before. I know, Luca said. He uses your empathy as a chain. She covered her mouth, trying to breathe. You're not his anymore, Haley, Luca said. He doesn't get to pull your strings. Her shoulders shook. He lowered his voice even more. He's outside. You're here. In my home. Under my protection. That's all that matters right now. She nodded through tears. What are you going to do? Stop him, Luca said simply. Her heart stumbled. How? He turned toward the hallway. By reminding him who he's dealing with. 15 minutes later, Luca stood in front of the large closet near the entrance and opened it. Haley watched from a few feet away, hugging herself. He pulled out a black coat and slipped it on, buttoning it with calm movements. Under the coat, his posture was straight, shoulders broad, presence sharp as a blade without even needing weapons. Marco will be at the garage entrance, he said. Anthony is watching from across the street. I'll walk out the front. Her breath caught. You're going alone? Yes. That's dangerous, she said. 3 against 1. I've had worse odds, he replied. Luca. He turned, and just the look in his eyes made her fall silent. You're safer if there are fewer people to worry about, he said. I don't need backup to scare a man like him. I just need him to understand something. What? She whispered. That you're no longer reachable. Her heart clenched. He stepped closer, his coat half-buttoned, the faint scent of his cologne mixing with the tension in the air. Stay inside, he said again. Do not open the door for anyone but me, Marco, or Anthony. I won't, she whispered. You see a number you don't recognize on your phone? Don't answer. Okay. You hear shouting from outside? You don't come near the windows. She nodded, tears thick in her eyes. Haley, he added, voice softer. I mean it. Trust me. I do, she said without hesitation. For a moment, something passed between them. Something that had nothing to do with danger and everything to do with the way he looked at her. Then he stepped back. I'll be back soon, he said. You promise? She whispered. His jaw tightened. I don't make promises I can't keep. He turned and headed for the door. Luca? He glanced back. Be careful, she said, voice breaking. His eyes softened. You too. Stay put. The door closed behind him. Haley stood alone in the quiet penthouse, heart pounding so loud it felt like it filled the whole room. She moved to the security screen again, hands shaking. But it felt worse to stare at the image. She locked the screen and stepped away, pacing, trying to listen for any sound from below. Her chest tightened. She had never felt this powerless and yet so protected at the same time. Outside, the cold air hit Luca's face as he stepped out of the building. The city was already dim, streetlights casting pale circles on the pavement. Ethan saw him first. He straightened, shoulders tense, eyes narrowing. The two men with him glanced between Luca and the entrance, unsure. Luca stopped a few feet in front of them. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Ethan scoffed. "So this is it? You send your little guards around and then come down like a king?" Luca's face didn't change. "You're making a mistake." Ethan spread his arms dramatically. "I made a mistake when I married her. I made a mistake when I let some stranger drag her out of my home like a thief. You made a mistake when you put your hands on her," Luca said calmly. "Everything after that belongs to me." The two men beside Ethan shifted uncomfortably. "Do you hear yourself?" Ethan snapped. "You think you own this place? That you can just take whatever you want?" "I don't take what isn't given," Luca replied. "She chose to leave with me." "She doesn't know you," Ethan shouted. "You think she's safe with you? With a criminal?" Luca's jaw tightened, but his tone stayed even. "She's safer with me than she ever was with you." One of the men beside Ethan stepped forward slightly. "Hey, look, man, we don't want trouble. We're just here to—" "Shut up," Ethan snapped. "I'm the one talking." Luca's eyes flicked to the man who spoke, then back to Ethan. "So they don't even know why they're here?" "They're here," Ethan said coldly, "because when I tell someone I need help, they show up. Unlike her. Unlike you." "You don't need help," Luca said. "You need consequences." A muscle jumped in Ethan's cheek. "I want her back," he said. "You're going to send her down. Now." "No," Luca replied. Ethan laughed, but there was nothing sane in the sound. "You think you can just say no and that's it? You think I'll walk away?" "Yes," Luca said. "You will. Or you'll be forced to." Ethan's eyes flashed. "By who? You?" Luca didn't move. "Yes." The street was too quiet. Even cars passing seemed to slow down as if the tension reached them too. Anthony stood across the street near a parked car, eyes on Ethan's hands, ready. Marco watched from the side entrance, posture alert, waiting for a signal. Ethan clenched his fists. "I'm her husband," he growled. "She belongs with me." "No," Luca said. "She doesn't." "You think she loves you?" Ethan shouted. "You think she's attached to you because you played the hero one time and now she'll fall into your bed like some broken little doll?" Luca's gaze darkened. "You think I don't see what you're doing?" Ethan sneered. "You're not a savior. You're a vulture. You saw something weak and you grabbed it." Luca took one step closer. Ethan faltered. "When I walked into that apartment," Luca said quietly, "she wasn't weak. She was choking. And you were squeezing." Ethan's jaw clenched. "You want her back?" Luca asked. "You had one chance to keep her, the day you promised to protect her. You broke that, so you don't get another chance." "You don't get to say that!" Ethan exploded. He reached into his jacket. Anthony moved first. "Boss!" Anthony shouted. "His hand!" Before the words fully left his mouth, Luca's body reacted. He lunged forward, grabbed Ethan's wrist, and slammed it against the nearby wall. Ethan cried out, dropping the small object he had been holding. It hit the ground and rolled. A small metal object, not a gun. A knife. The blade glinted under the streetlight. Luca kicked it away. Anthony rushed forward, grabbing one of the other men by the arm and twisting it behind his back, pinning him. Marco intercepted the second man, pushing him against a parked car. Within seconds, all three were contained. Ethan panted, trapped between Luca and the brick wall. "Planning something?" Luca asked, voice low. Ethan spat at the sidewalk. "I was going to scare you." "You brought a knife to scare me?" Luca asked. "Or her?" Ethan's eyes flashed. "She needs to learn." Luca's patience broke. He grabbed Ethan by the front of his jacket and pushed him harder against the wall. "No," he said in a controlled, dangerous tone. "You're the one who's going to learn." Ethan tried to twist free, but Luca's grip was unbreakable. "You don't own her," Luca said. "You don't own her body. You don't own her fear. And you sure as hell don't own her life." Ethan's voice shook. "You going to kill me? In front of all these cameras?" "No," Luca said. I don't need to. He leaned closer, his voice dropping. You're already finished. Ethan swallowed hard. You go near her again, Luca said. You call her, follow her, stand outside any building she's in, talk to her friends, show up at her job, or even say her name the wrong way. You're done. Done how? Ethan whispered. Luca's eyes hardened. You won't like the answer. Ethan trembled. You think I can't reach you? Luca asked. You think the police will protect you from me? You think anyone will care what happens to a man who spends his time choking his wife when no one's watching? Ethan's shoulders slumped, but his voice stayed bitter. She belongs with me, he repeated weakly. No, Luca said again. She belongs where she's safe, and that place will never include you. He stepped back slightly and looked at Anthony. Take his knife, Luca said. Make sure he doesn't get it back. Anthony grabbed the knife from the ground and slipped it into his own pocket. And them? Marco asked, nodding at the two men he'd restrained. Luca glared at them. You two made a bad decision tonight. We didn't know, one of them started. You knew enough, Luca cut in. You came here for him. Next time he calls, you don't show up. You walk away. If you don't, you'll wish you had. They nodded frantically. Anthony released the man he was holding. Marco let go of the other. They stumbled backward, hands raised in surrender, then turned and hurried away down the street without looking back. Only Ethan remained pressed to the wall, breathing heavily. What are you going to do to me? Ethan asked. Nothing else, Luca said. Tonight. Ethan blinked. That's it? That depends on you, Luca replied. You disappear. You get help. You stay away from her. You touch a bottle instead of a woman when you're angry. You follow the law for once in your life. You stay quiet, and I don't think about you again. Ethan swallowed. And if I don't? Luca's answer was ice cold. Then you'll remember tonight as the gentle version. Silence. Anthony stepped closer to Luca. Boss, cops might get a call. We should move. Luca nodded once. He looked at Ethan one last time. You lost her the first time you raised a hand to her. Tonight just made it official. He turned and walked away. Anthony lingered for a second, meeting Ethan's frightened eyes. Listen to him, Anthony said. He's giving you a chance. Most people don't get one. Then he followed Luca. Marco walked around the corner, making sure no one else had been watching too closely, then joined them as they crossed back into the building. From the sidewalk, Ethan watched them go, breathing hard, shaking. Not from anger this time, but from a fear he never thought he would feel. Upstairs, Haley paced the living room, fingers twisting around each other. Every minute felt like an hour. Every distant sound made her flinch. When she finally heard the soft beep of the door lock and the click of it opening, she froze. Haley? Luca called. She rushed forward. The moment she saw him, her vision blurred with tears. Are you okay? I'm fine, he said. Did they? It's handled, Luca said. Her breath shook. What does that mean? It means he came here with 2 men and a knife, Luca said bluntly. It means he thought he could scare us. Her knees nearly gave out. A knife. He never touched it, Luca said. I made sure of that. Is he? She swallowed. Is he hurt? Not physically, Luca said. But his pride is. She exhaled in a rush, covering her face with both hands. God. Luca stepped closer. Hey. She dropped her hands slowly. He was right in front of her now, coat open, hair a little messy from the wind, eyes dark but calm. He won't come back, Luca said. You can't know that. I do, he said, because if he does, there is no second warning. Her chest squeezed. I don't want more violence. Neither do I, he said. That's why I stopped it tonight. She looked into his eyes and saw something there she hadn't expected. Not just anger, not just control, but a fierce, focused protectiveness that had nothing to do with ego and everything to do with her. You keep saying you're doing this to protect me, she whispered. It's the truth. But why? She asked. He didn't look away. Because I can't stand the thought of you being hurt, he said simply. Her eyes filled again. And because when I heard you scream that first night, he continued. Something inside me decided you weren't going to scream alone ever again. Her breath caught. She didn't know what to say. She didn't even know what to feel. Gratitude, relief, fear, longing. Everything collided inside her at once. I don't know who I am without fear, she whispered. You're going to find out, he said. What if I don't like that version of me? You will, he said. Because you'll finally see yourself the way I see you. Her heart stumbled. And how's that? Strong, he said. Brave, worth protecting. She covered her mouth, tears spilling over. He took a slow step closer. Haley, he said softly, you're not a burden. You're not a problem I have to solve. You're someone I chose to help, and I don't regret it. Her voice shook. You don't? Not for a second. Silence fell, thick with everything unsaid. Her pulse raced. Luca, she whispered, if I stay here, if I stay with you, won't it bring more danger into your life? He shook his head. My life is already dangerous. You didn't bring that. You just brought a reason I care about it more. Her breath hitched. You're not responsible for my world, he added, but you might be the reason I change how I live in it. Her eyes widened. What does that mean? He didn't answer. Not yet. His phone buzzed again. He glanced at the screen. Anthony, he said. He's sending me updates. About Ethan? She asked. Yes, Luca said. They'll follow him for the next few days. Make sure he doesn't try anything else. And if he does, she whispered. Luca's eyes hardened. He won't like what happens next. She shivered. He reached out and gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Tonight is done, he said. You need sleep. She shook her head. I won't be able to. Yes, he said softly. You will. Why are you so sure? Because I'm not leaving, he said. Not tonight. Her heart jumped. You're staying here, awake? Yes. Luca, you don't have to. I know, he cut in. I want to. Her throat tightened. He gestured toward the guest room. Go, lie down. If you wake up scared, come out here. She hesitated. And if you don't want to sleep alone, he added quietly, I can sit in the chair near your door. You'll hear me breathe. You'll know you're not alone. Her chest ached with something deep and warm. Why are you doing this? She whispered again, almost desperate to understand. His answer came without hesitation. Because I care about what happens to you, he said. More than I should. More than I planned to. The confession hit her like a physical touch. Her fingers tightened around the edge of her sleeve. Luca, she breathed. They stood there, inches apart, the city outside silent, the night heavy with everything that almost went wrong and everything that still might go right. For a moment, it felt like the world shrank to just the two of them. Her, terrified but changing, and him, dangerous to everyone but her. Haley opened her mouth to say something she wasn't ready to say, but the words froze on her tongue. Because for the first time she realized something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. She wasn't just safe with Luca. She was falling for him, hard, and she had no idea what that would cost either of them. Haley didn't sleep that night. Not because of fear, but because every time she closed her eyes, she saw Luca outside the building facing Ethan. Facing danger. Facing everything she had been too afraid to confront. She paced the guest room for almost an hour, then sat on the edge of the bed, hugging her knees. She could hear faint footsteps in the hallway. Luca keeping watch, as promised. At some point she stood and opened the door slowly. Luca looked up from the chair he had pulled into the hallway. He had taken off his coat, rolled up his sleeves, and rested his elbows on his knees. His eyes softened when he saw her. You okay? He asked. She shook her head. No. He stood immediately. What do you need? He asked, stepping closer. She hesitated, not because she was unsure, but because she had never asked for anything from someone who wouldn't use it against her later. I don't want to be alone, she whispered. Luca nodded once, slow and steady. Come on. He led her to the living room, where the city glowed through the tall windows. The sofa looked too big and too empty, so he sat beside her, not touching, but close enough she felt the warmth of him. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then Haley whispered, "If you didn't hear me that night, I don't know where I'd be." "You'd still be alive," Luca said quietly, "because you're stronger than you think." She shook her head. "I wasn't strong. I was trapped." "You walked out the moment you had a choice," Luca said. "That's strength. Only because of you." He turned his head toward her. "Maybe I opened the door, but you're the one who walked through it." Her throat tightened. She looked down at her hands. "You keep calling me strong, but I feel broken." "That's because you're rebuilding," he replied. "It doesn't feel good at first." She drew a shaky breath. "You talk like someone who knows." His jaw flexed slightly. "Because I do." She wanted to ask about the woman he couldn't save, wanted to know what shaped him into the man beside her. But she waited. Instead, she whispered, "I don't know how to start over." "You don't start over alone," Luca said. Haley looked up at him. "Luca, what do you want from me?" she asked. He didn't blink. "You." Her breath caught. Her pulse jumped. "But only if you want me too," he added. Haley stared at him. This dangerous man with a heart he pretended not to have. She thought she would feel overwhelmed, intimidated, terrified. Instead, she felt steady. "Why me?" she whispered. Luca exhaled slowly. "Because you walk into rooms like you're invisible. Because you say sorry too often. Because you survived things that would have destroyed other people. Because you looked at me like I wasn't a monster. Because—" He paused, eyes locked with hers. "Because I haven't cared about someone in a long time, and I can't ignore it anymore." Her heartbeat stuttered. "Luca." He leaned closer, not touching, just closer. His voice dropped to a low, honest tone she hadn't heard before. "You changed something in me," he said, "and I don't want it changed back." Haley bit her lip, tears rising. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know," he said. "I am too." "You?" she asked softly. He nodded once. "I don't let people close, it never works out. But with you, it feels different. Like keeping distance would be worse than the risk." Her tears fell. He brushed one away gently with his thumb. "You're shaking," he whispered. "I don't know how to do this," she breathed. "You don't have to," he said. "Not tonight. Not tomorrow. We go slow. As slow as you need." Her chest ached. "Why are you like this with me?" she whispered. "Because you're the first good thing that's crossed my path in years," he said. She covered her mouth, trying not to break down. Luca moved closer, barely, but enough that she could feel his breath. "If you don't want this," he said softly, "say the word and I'll step back. I won't push. I won't assume. I'll stay your protector and nothing more." Haley lowered her hand. "I don't want you to step back," she said. He inhaled slowly, like her words had physically hit him. "Haley," he whispered. She took a breath she didn't think she could take. "You make me feel safe," she admitted. "Safer than anyone ever has." His eyes softened in a way she had never seen. "And I want—" Her voice broke. "I want to know what it feels like to be cared for without fear." Luca looked at her like she was something precious, something important, something he was already sworn to protect. He lifted a hand slowly, giving her every second to pull away. She didn't. His hand rested lightly on the side of her face, warm and steady. She leaned into it instinctively. "You deserve care," he whispered. A tear slid down her cheek. "And you deserve someone who doesn't hurt you," he said. Her breath trembled. "I want that." He leaned forward slightly. Not a kiss, just a touch. His forehead resting gently against hers. She closed her eyes. For the first time in years, her body didn't tense when someone touched her. She didn't flinch. She didn't recoil. She felt safe. She felt seen. She felt wanted. When she opened her eyes again, Luca's were already on hers. "Come here," he whispered. Haley leaned into his chest, and his arms wrapped around her slowly, careful, deliberate, protective. She sank into him like she had been trying to hold herself up for too long. "I've got you," he murmured against her hair. She exhaled a breath that broke her. Minutes passed, maybe an hour. It didn't matter. She lifted her head slowly. "Luca?" "Yes?" "Will it always be dangerous, being with you?" He was honest. "Yes," he said, "but not for you. Never for you." Her heart fluttered. "And what about you?" she whispered. He hesitated, the only time she'd seen him unsure. "I don't care about danger," he said. "I care about you." Her breath caught. "Are you telling me," she whispered, "that the Mafia boss next door wants me?" His jaw flexed in a half-smile, the first true one she had ever seen on him. "I'm telling you," he said softly, "that Luca Conti wants you." She swallowed. "And Haley Bennett wants you too." The sentence hung between them, electric and fragile. Luca didn't kiss her. He didn't rush. Instead, he reached for her hand, lacing his fingers gently with hers. No force, no rush, no danger. Just connection. She leaned her head against his shoulder. He rested his cheek against her hair. For the first time, she didn't feel like a victim. She felt like someone beginning a new life. With him. The next morning, sunlight filled the penthouse. Haley woke on the couch, wrapped under a blanket she didn't remember pulling over herself. Luca stood near the window, coffee in hand, watching the city. His jacket was off, sleeves rolled, hair slightly messy. He looked almost human, warm, present. He turned when he heard her sit up. "Morning," he said. Her cheeks warmed. "Did you sleep?" "A little." He lied. She smiled softly. "You didn't have to stay up." "I did," he said. "Because if something happened while you were sleeping, I wouldn't forgive myself." Her chest tightened. He walked toward her slowly. "We need to talk," Luca said. "About what last night means." She nodded. It meant something. "Yes," he said, "and I want more of that. But I need to know you're ready." Haley stood, heart pounding, and stepped closer to him. "I don't know what being ready looks like," she said, "but I know I don't want to leave." His eyes softened. "Then you won't." She reached for his hand, this time without shaking. "And I know," she said slowly, "that whatever this is, I want it. With you." Luca brushed his thumb across her knuckles. "Then we go forward," he said quietly. "No chaos, no fear, no pressure. Just forward." She smiled, small, unsure, but real. "What about Ethan?" she whispered. "We're handling him," Luca said. "He won't come near you again." "And your world?" she asked. "Your life?" Luca stepped closer, lifting her chin gently. "You're the one part of my life I'm certain about." Her breath trembled. "And if things get dangerous?" "I'll keep you safe," he said. "That's a promise I'll make. And keep." Her voice wavered, not from fear, but from emotion. "Luca?" "Yes?" "Are you sure about us?" His answer was immediate. "I've never been sure of anything." And with that he leaned in, slowly, carefully, and pressed his lips to hers. Not intense, not rushed. A first kiss that felt like a vow. Her hands moved to his chest, his hands moved to her waist, and the world around them faded. When the kiss broke, Luca rested his forehead against hers. "You're safe," he whispered. "Not because of you," she said softly, "but with you." He smiled, barely, but enough to change his entire face. And that was the moment she knew. This wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning. The beginning of Luca Conti and Haley Bennett. The Mafia boss next door and the woman whose scream he could never forget. Safe. Loved. Chosen. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.